If everyone's ready, we'll go ahead and get started. This is the Law and Ordinance Committee meeting. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. We can get started with the one I feel people are probably here for, which is the Sober Living House legislation. We kind of talked about it last time, but thank you. I wanted to make sure we had like our law department here. I know we have Mr. Skelly as well from the zoning board. You're on planning commission, right?
Yeah.
But we had talked about, because under the Ohio Revised Code, sober living houses cannot operate if they are not seeking to get certified or don't have their certification within 18 months. And I know we had talked about just basically putting that my concern, and maybe Mr. Gary can also speak to this, is possibly being preempted because the state gives them 18 months. I don't know if it would be wise for us to put in our language that unless they are already certified, they can't be operating, since the state gives them that window to get certified. Tim, did you get a chance to look at the statute I sent?
I have looked at the statute, but I don't really have much of an opinion yet.
Okay.
How we should change our ordinance, if at all.
Well, right now we don't have, I believe the BZA determined that the sober living houses fall into like this gray area.
But they didn't.
That they're not group homes, and they're not, we don't have any specific sober, recovery housing is what the legal term is, but recovery housing language in our ordinances.
So I talked with Mr. Moore, and my initial thought was to take the group home ordinance, which really just serves to define it and state that we have a limit per zoning district and per like a maximum for the entire city, and add sober living to that language. Mr. Moore had some concerns about that, just in terms of like feasibility and do they really fall within the same category? And if we're restricting that number, if we've already hit that number in group homes, does it mean that I have a feeling we've already hit the 6 total for the city of group homes. Does that mean that we cannot have any sober living homes if we are just tacking it onto the same? So he and I talked briefly, and we're not sure that was the best way to go about it. But that we certainly need some legislation surrounding them, because as it stands, there's no expectation for them to have fire inspections. There's no kind of oversight for them at all. They can just pop up and be for-profit businesses and run however they see fit. And because the state is so lenient, it just does not give us a ton of flexibility or a ton of really anything we can do about when they are not serving their purpose.
I mean, my thought was we can kind of just copy the language from the state statute saying that, per this revised code, they have not more than 18 months to get certified and get their certification. Because I think if we try to shorten that, if we get sued, I don't know how we win that lawsuit. The state has said they have 18 months. So I think if we just do the 18 months, and then could we just create the same density requirements as the group homes have? I mean, not necessarily tack it on, but there can't be more than 6 recovery houses.
I don't see why not, but that's probably a Mr. Gary question.
Sorry, Tim.
This stuff is hard.
Yeah.
I understand that. And the question includes what they're actually trying to accomplish. Recovery housing residence is defined in the code.
Mm-hmm.
As a residence for individuals recovering from alcohol use disorder or drug addiction that provides an alcohol-free and drug-free living environment, peer support, assistance with obtaining alcohol and drug addiction services, and other recovery assistance.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got some stuff to show us. They better have some stuff to show us.
Right.
Because if they don't, then they're not complying with, they don't seem to be complying with the, with what a recovery housing residence is.
Right.
And so I'm concerned about that.
So do you think we should, sorry, it's so hard to see her on the podium. Do you think we should add a provision maybe that they need to get in touch as soon as they start operating? They need to get in touch with the building or planning commission?
Well, I need to know what, what they've been about,
Mhm.
what they're applying to, as a recovery housing residence or not.
Right.
I just want to make sure whatever we do moving forward is feasible I just want to make sure it's sustainable. So obviously we want to continue the conversation we're having with Izzy's house specifically, but my goal long-term is that this is not a continuing problem, and that if these recovery houses want to open in Norwood, there's a clear step process for them to do so, and some sort of oversight about whether that is they register with the city. I just don't know how feasible it is for us to maintain a registration. I don't know if that's putting too much of a tax on departments. I do not know. But there needs to be some kind of control and oversight from the city. That I am not totally
We're
sure.
right across the street from me, because the fire department comes out yearly. Yeah, he absolutely registered. They've been there 16 years.
That does not seem very clear to me in the
Yeah, it actually-
ordinances, but that may be the policy with the building department.
Right.
Or with the BZA.
Well, and I think technically like all landlords are supposed to let the building department know they're operating. I think we have a hard time keeping track of that too.
So do we not have a certificate of occupancy anymore?
No. I don't think we've got a certificate of occupancy for these people.
For any, because it was unconstitutional, so they eliminated it.
No, I think that there was not a certificate of occupancy issued to this owner. Or if there was, it was to a family, it's given for a one family unit.
Are we talking about 1753 land?
Yes.
Nothing was given to the city at all, they just moved in. The owners tried to rent it for 8 months to Xavier, they had Xavier student housing, and when they couldn't because the enrollment's down at Xavier, that's when I guess they fell upon this. And the quick response came, I've talked to them several times today, they gave me a lot of information, and they're saying these things are popping up all over Norwood because there is no legislation. And the one by us was not, it was a single family home, and they were saying 15 women were going to be, that's against our, codes. I mean, yeah, it's fire code, that's building code. There's 4 or 5 per kitchen was what it always was, so I think we have a lot, so.
And then, Tim, I have a procedural question as well. Because would this need to go through the zoning? Like, I'm assuming this needs to go through the zoning board for final approval. Is this one where we would need to have council vote on it and then send it to them for a final vote?
No.
No.
This is already on the docket for the November 19th zoning board
Oh,
of
okay.
appeals.
Because they had orders right against my people for overcrowding. That's what Mark Reeves told me.
Mark Reeves has issued a letter saying, please put no more than 4 adults there.
Right, so overcrowding.
Right. So that's what we're dealing with, and I expect that they'll present something.
Well, Sam, can I ask you something? So
Sure.
since that has happened, they did a mass move out of the women and put them over the Rhine, and now they have taken all the men from the Rhine and put them in this house. So
Okay.
how can they do that when the hearing's not even until November 19th, and they're trying to play a game, is what they're doing?
Well, I'm not gonna say they're trying to play games.
Well, I am.
That's fine. But, they've got a duty to show that they've got a duty to show the factors or the impact of the factors that have to be considered by the board. And I expect they'll do that or they'll lose.
Well, they didn't lose.
Well, now, we haven't had an appeal.
On Hopkins, it was 5-0 when Izzy's house went up against the
Different property, isn't it?
Izzy's house. It was in
Yeah.
Izzy's house.
It's a sober living.
Same company.
Okay.
I'm planning to appear on the 19th and ask some questions.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I was kind of jumping around there. My question was more like if we want to pass legislation,
Right.
can we start here and then does the zoning
Sure.
board? Okay.
Start anywhere you want,
Okay.
but
Do-
sure.
Do you think the zoning board will need to approve it first, like for it to become effective?
No.
Okay. I just know
The zoning
sometimes
board
that's how.
is there as an administrative appeal entity.
Okay, so that's why sometimes we vote on what they propose.
Right.
Got it.
They may ask. But
Got
no.
it.
Can I ask a question? So if this is listed as a women's sober living on Williams Avenue, and now we're going to a hearing about women's sober living, but it's no longer women in there, how does that work?
I think that because we don't have any kind of oversight or ruling about it, there's no registration, whatever, they can call it whatever they want to call it.
Right.
But we aren't, it's not registered as a women's sober living facility anywhere with the city, so it doesn't matter who lives there.
Yeah, I don't think the gender matters.
If there's overcrowding, it would still be an issue whether they're
Overcrowding.
male or female.
Right. They're not registered as like a business with the city or anything that says that women live there. And I would imagine especially because it's still the same parent company that's operating it.
Okay.
Has anyone had an opportunity, and I apologize, I have not, reached out to Ralph to find out if we have any sense of how many these sorts of businesses we have?
I did not.
Mr. Skelly, do you have any idea just from your boots on the
No,
ground?
overall, no. So at least for Izzy's house, this is the second of two. The other one was on Hawkins. I believe they had a BZA hearing in either March or May.
Mhm.
I think speaking with a representative from the KM, their belief was that because they received approval for that, with similar establishment, they could proceed without filing a
When did they get approval? I'm sorry, did you say that they got approval?
by the BZA, I believe, in either March or May. I don't have the date, but just talking to the representative, sorry, KMA.
KABA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were not required to submit a certificate of occupancy
They should have,
because it was a change of use.
correct.
Right.
Okay.
But getting back to your questions for this committee, so similar to how the other group homes work, one of the ways you can skin the cat is say, well, fine, we'll define it, we'll put provisions, and we'll make it a conditional use, where the BZA would have to entertain an application subject to complying with the citing conditions or whatever.
Okay. Is that what I don't think we have that language in the group home one, do we? I think that would be a good idea though.
Yeah, but I believe in most of permitted uses for whatever adult home. Again, there's probably many ways of, comply, but makes sense.
No, that makes sense to me.
We would open up to like hearing from the community subject to criteria.
Okay. So subject to.
So how many are there? Did you say 4?
I think no.
We know of 4 is what that's what he
Okay,
said.
because the quick
There's
response
more.
team they say there's more. And there's one at 1818 Mentor, and there's one on Portland.
Well, if we put on the same, density requirements from the group home one, I mean, they'll be a prior non-conforming use, so we can't shut down the ones that exist, but if those close, a new one can't open. Like, similar to a club, so many people have to leave before we can let a new one in. So I think that is probably our best bet, is to just include the same density language that exists in the group home one. And then, is everyone on board for subject to conditional approval from the BZA? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came to the meeting.
Well, no, I think it's already there for you to use
Yeah.
or not. So again, there's a number of ways of doing it, so that's one approach.
And then that way I don't think we're preempting the language in the revised code, because that's my only real concern. It's because they have that 18-month language. You can't have more than 18 months, but if you have a year and a half to try to get your certification.
That's a long time.
So I agree. You have to call
That's
you have to call the legislators about that.
Yeah.
No, it's,
I'm looking at 18 months.
the actual statute title, it's prohibition against operation without being certified or accredited. And it's for the recovery housing. Yeah, and they do not have more than the recovery housing residence has not been operating for more than 18 months and is actively engaged in efforts to obtain certification or accreditation. So, I mean, the accreditation board could just cut them off before that and say no, but they have, in theory, they could have that pretty large window too. And I think if we were like, you can't operate until then, the state or the, sober living houses would have a good argument of being like, no, we have an 18-month window per state law. I think would be, because that was kind of the easy solution we had tossed out last time, but that's what happens when we operate skimming language. But I think I think if we do the conditional approval as well, so that the BZA could keep track of them. And then that way, if they don't show up, and even if they're operating under state legally, if they don't come here, I mean, that's a pretty serious problem as well. So that's another window we could have.
So will that include like a simple registration? Just until they get certified, just so that we know they're in the city?
I think, would that make sense, Mike? If it's,
Yeah.
or do we have to wait until they're
I don't know, like I said, in terms of the ideal, the perfect world, they would come to the building department first,
Right.
without the occupants permit, kind of tease out any sort of use issues, density issues, all the things, maybe even parking, or all that. But in this case, they're kind of there right now. So the hearing would be rather.
oh, sorry, Mike,
They can't hear.
Steve cannot hear you. You two can sit up here if you want. If you want, no pressure.
You have to stand to the mic, but
I know, I told you. Sorry, Mike. Okay. So, sorry, I have not done a lot of zoning ordinances in my time on this committee. So would it make sense then that they have to seek conditional approval as soon as they start operating, or subject to after the 18-month window? Like, what do you think makes more sense?
I think a conditional use approach is good. There's certain merits, but sometimes, at least the way it's, I'm trying to remember how it's written in the ordinance right now, there is almost a more totality of the municipality, and they allocate X amount per municipality. So subject to the direction for the law department, what makes sense, because to me, again, maybe I'm more of a generalist. I group maybe all of them in as a group home, and they have different issues and different needs. So it's a matter as to some people, might view it differently in the community. So I think it's, once we look into it, and then as I was learning the last week, Sober House doesn't have any licensing by the state. They have to get certified by these two bodies. It appears that a lot of people are kind of following the Oxford House approach. So it's nationally recognized. They have gone to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. So I think they're used as what they call a peer supervised facility. But at the end of the day, I think the city has to figure out what makes sense once we also figure out, well, how many do we have in the community? And then in deference to that special needs group, what services are beneficial? Because ideally, for me speaking as a land use planner, then you should be kind of close to those facilities. I don't know if the typical neighborhood residential area would satisfy that, aside from just finding a home that's affordable, which is again part of the equation. But if they're looking at the needs for the clients, then other services would make sense.
So, sorry, this is me getting super into the weeds on the language, because it's just how my brain works now. So, Mr. Gary, do you think it would make sense if the conditional use, should we include what the BZA should consider in the conditional use permit? Like
Well, the BZA is going to consider
everything related to zoning?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and they'll apply the factors. that-
Because if there's no parking, right, there's no parking, so it's not gonna be able to operate anyway. Right, like in theory, like they could at least give them that heads up. Does that make sense?
When you say no parking,
Like, because if you have so many, like, I don't know, if they're not meeting parking requirements or if they don't have enough, I don't know, kitchen.
It's like
Operations
one
for
fire
it.
kitchen,
If there's some other like zoning issue, right, that would be a reason to say they cannot operate as a,
yes, that could be a reason.
okay. Because those are like what we're finding now, right? It's like we can't say whether or not that place is offering actual sober living requirements, but we could say you're violating a million other code sections. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
understand that I think they've got the burden of showing their need for this conditional
Right,
use,
okay,
okay?
that makes sense. I just want to make sure we give like you and Keith something to work with, so.
We've got stuff to work.
Yes. Okay, good.
But we also have a Fair Housing Act that we've got to comply with.
No, that all makes sense. And I think everyone here is like pro recovery housing,
No one's
when it's like
against it.
actually, yeah,
But that's not what's happening on our
yeah,
street.
yeah, just so
And it's,
the
I
folks at
also
home know.
wanted to share that you can look up the number of recovery housing in our zip code, and it is showing just the 4.
Okay,
And one of
Um,
them is the one on Williams that has been there for many years.
Yeah.
That's Lighted Pathway.
Yeah, there's 2 on Williams, 1 on Hopkins,
Where's,
and
where's Lighted Pathway?
1723.
Yeah.
That's not even, you guys, that's not even a house anymore, that house is torn down.
Well, it's still listed on the state's website, so that doesn't have anything to do with us, but
Ah.
it's on the Ohio Department of
Wait,
Behavioral
that's not
Health.
even- It's behind your house. Oh, yeah.
It's
like-
gone.
Yeah.
oh really?
Okay, so yeah.
So they're
Well,
offering.
hopefully they're not licensed to do
If
that.
it makes you feel any better, their website has 2 typos in it on the Ohio Department of Behavioral Health website, and the real correctly spelled one doesn't work anyway. The other 2 are Izzy's house and then the house on Mentor Avenue. Izzy's house also does have 2 lodged formal complaints with the Department of Behavioral Health. Both of them were investigated in September and are substantiated complaints, so they have been investigated and are legitimate. And the outcome listed for both of them is active quality improvement plan. So it looks like the state is also aware of complaints and they have some sort of plan in place with the state to improve on them. There's just, it says the description of the complaint was physical property standards, policy and procedure standards for both. So that could mean a lot of things, but there is awareness of these stuff too.
Right.
So it was investigated.
It's under substantiated and it says they don't list that unless it's been
The Ohio
investigated.
Department of Behavioral Health.
All right. I think that answers most of my questions I had about this. It sounds like the law department's on top of it in this. So, should we,
Well, I can tell you that we're going to actively participate in the hearing.
the BZA hearing?
It
Yeah,
comes next week.
I assumed. I assumed you get your prosecutor cap back on. Okay. So I think that gives us a good spot, and that's why I wanted to make sure, thank you for coming, Tim, because I did want you here so we could bounce ideas off of you, make sure everyone was clear on what we wanted. Would it make sense for my fellow committee members, once the law department has something drafted, do you want to meet up again, or would you rather just get that in front of council
I think we could email it over
and see?
if all of us feel comfortable with the draft, let's just get it in front of council.
I agree.
My plan is to also be at the 19th meeting.
I have some concern about violating the sunshine law. Or emailing things back and forth.
Can you not send them out to us and we do not email back and
Yeah,
forth?
we weren't gonna, yeah.
Just so we can put eyeballs on it. And then if any of us has a concern separately, we can reach out to Alexis individually about scheduling a
I guess,
meeting.
yeah.
If we
Okay.
want to discuss anything.
I always put do not reply all on my emails.
Yes.
Do not reply all. Okay. Okay, I
So
think
who
that,
reports it up? You report it up?
Are you going to report it out?
yeah, and once we have the draft from the law department, if everything looks fine, we can get it in front of council. As soon as Tim and Keith and everyone's. Okay.
Probably not.
Not tomorrow, sorry.
Okay.
We're moving, huh?
Would it have to wait till after the 19th?
Well, they're not going to have it drafted tonight, I don't think.
After the 19th.
Oh, after the
We were
19th.
there the last meeting.
I don't see why
Sorry.
we would need to wait until the 19th.
Okay, so we can get it on the second meeting.
I would
Yes,
think so.
yes.
We came into the last ordinance meeting and we were told it's like a quick thing, like,
Well, it just
No, it's
depends.
not.
After talking to the law department, it is, in my brain, every single legal issue is simple, and that's why I'm not a lawyer, because it turns out I'm wrong about that almost all the time.
And we
so-
can't discuss this outside of the meeting. So
Yeah,
that's
we can
why.
have one-on-one discussions, but we
Yeah.
can't collectively
Oh, I
discuss
know.
anything.
Yeah.
So it slows down the process, unfortunately. So I spoke one-on-one with Mr. Moore, and his thought is that what my suggestion initially, which would have been a simple, easy, is not feasible. So
that's adding the,
yeah. And so while that would have been a faster process, it also probably would not have stood up against council or legally. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like I would love to say that legislating is a fast turnaround, but it is often not. And this is still, I would say, a faster timeline that we deal with those things.
Okay. And can you tell me again, why can't we just add the language? What was that again?
Mr. Gary, maybe you can, but there were concerns, just tacking sober living onto the group home ordinance. Mr. Moore did not feel like that was feasible.
I don't think it's feasible
Can you say why?
because it needs to be passed as a separate,
Okay.
it needs to be passed as an ordinance.
And it's kind of its
An
own,
amendment to the ordinance.
yeah. It would need its own definition, like, it would be.
Even though essentially to me, they seem like they're all group homes, but they just have different,
You know, there's a process by which we adopt.
someone didn't like what I said.
Sorry.
Process by which we adopt ordinances, and that process has to be followed.
okay. Well, that was just brought to our attention here.
Well, I understand. Not just a question of just doing it.
Okay.
We have to follow some procedures, including having 3 readings or waiving those readings.
Right.
And given that it's a zoning matter, you're not supposed to do that by waiving readings.
I only asked because when we were all here, I believe there were a lot more of us here last time. You had kind of mentioned adding it on, so we were like, oh, yeah, we don't know, we just assumed we could.
I also
because-
don't know.
Okay.
So that's my,
We took your words and we thought, oh, okay.
yeah, I apologize that
No,
that
that's
is not
okay.
what came through. Because I am not a lawyer, I am very often
Okay.
not correct about what the legal process can actually be.
Yeah, that's the reason we were thinking.
How does that work if we don't have this in place before this 19th meeting with the owner of this 1753 Williams Avenue?
This ordinance will have no impact on that, will have no impact on the ordinance, because that is an overpopulation, that's a density issue, and we are not making any kind of legislation surrounding changes in density, so they would not impact each other.
Yeah,
in either way.
They're being charged with what's already on the books. We can't charge them with something that's not.
Did you figure out what the orders were that were against it?
No, I did not. I did not.
Mr. Yeri
Get to
said
the
that it
bottom
was,
of that.
that they were only allowed to have 4 people.
So it was the.
Right, so-
Okay, I didn't know if I missed
Um,
But Mr. Gary-
something. Okay.
But yeah, I think we won't get it on tomorrow, but I think we can definitely get it on before the next. I'll make sure that, if we need to have a meeting, we will. And if not, we'll definitely try to get it on the agenda for, not tomorrow, but the next one.
If
Yes.
the suggested language is feasible, I feel like all of us are comfortable with that.
Yes. And the law department knows more than all of us.
Yeah.
So I trust their judgment. I just wanted Tim to be here to hear everyone's concerns, what we thought, collaborate. But if that satisfies everyone, we'll see this on the agenda, not tomorrow, but our next one. All right. If you ladies want to stay, you are more than welcome. I was going to talk about our crypto ATM legislation again.
I just wanted to check with the folks on Williams, how, is it quieter?
Oh,
I know
yes.
that there's sort of
Sorry.
two separate things. One's a legislative piece.
Yeah.
The other is just, how is it right now for residents?
The residents, and it's fine, we don't hear much out of it. The trucks, the garage situation is still a nightmare. I don't know if they rent that garage, I don't know what that is. The trucks coming in the morning. supposedly that was supposedly
Storage, or like they do maintenance.
it
in the
was
garage.
maintenance for Izzy's house, but the things that they bring are not.
Is it still, are they coming and going at
Oh,
strange hours still?
Yes.
That's more of a concern to me, is like a noise,
Yeah,
if that's a noise violation, if
Yeah.
they're doing work and unloading trucks in the wee hours.
yeah, I just don't really know what they have to do with. But the attendants are okay right now.
But it's,
You know, hopefully it stays that way.
So just for clarification, it's not the tenants coming and going in trucks.
No, it's the same from,
it's the business.
The-
They have like a
the
shed back
manager-
there. Yeah.
Okay.
didn't they tell you that it was property maintenance is what they used the
Yeah,
garage
I think
for?
that's what they.
But I don't believe, like, Izzy's house needs 2 trucks.
Do you know what's coming in and out?
Tires and
It's tires?
a truckload of grills and it's just
Oh,
very
okay.
odd things that.
It's like a scrap business or something?
Yeah.
That's why I also
Okay.
feel like, well, we were told by the landlord that that was the landlord's property maintenance, not Izzy's house. That was like the property owner's. Why do I feel like, I'll have to look,
Doesn't sound familiar, but I
I'll
do
have
have
to
the
look back
contact
on
for
the
the house
email.
manager. Chief Sumner met with them last week, I believe you know that. And,
Yeah. I got it.
okay. So I can reach out and see if
I just like
any clarity on that.
I feel like they probably rent that garage out, probably maybe the owners do or something, I don't know.
So it might not be at all connected with Izzy's house, but it might
Yeah,
be.
probably maybe a building issue.
Okay.
Like tenants go from.
Is it, I'm just trying, is it behind on the left? Because on the right is the alley.
It's part of the property itself, fenced in. It was, when a residential family lived there, it was just a garage, you know?
It's a very big garage.
Yeah, it's big, it's big.
Lights run a lot at night, so I feel like someone lives up there personally, but
Well, that's not.
That's not all either, so some drywall went in and out, we saw a toilet go in and out.
Okay.
So it's
So
it's
maybe
a
it is
question,
landlord.
what exactly
if
what's going on
it's not
back there.
big, is it, so maybe it's.
It may be like landlord doing, maybe they have a property maintenance person there.
Like that.
Yeah. They aren't allowed to be loud. though,
No, they're not. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And I apologize, I wasn't trying to cut anyone off. I just know we had talked earlier this
Yeah.
month, so
Yeah, yeah.
I got a small update. I was not.
So as of now, tenants are fine.
My comment or question is kind of on target with what Stuart brought up. How are the nuisance complaints going on? I mean, is that something that is, I don't even know who follows up with that, to collect those, the total of nuisance requests or nuisance complaints so that we can follow up with that?
Yeah, the police, I mean, I don't know if they turn in some type of a record of that.
Building and health.
So each of those, I mean, I can share, because that was one of the challenges when we were working on the chronic nuisance ordinance, is each of those have their own lists, if you will. So if people are calling in a police run, that's going to be in the police bucket. If it's a building department, it's in the building department bucket. If it's a Board of Health issue, it's in the Board of Health bucket. And we do not have systems that communicate. So it is a retroactive process where it would be on us to reach out to, and I can tell you right now, this is people are aware of it, and so there are
They should.
conversations, and you know, I'm in contact with Sumner, and I left a message for Ralph today, but didn't get a chance to catch back up. So down the road, I envision us having new software that could do all this, and a flag would go up and say, here's an issue, but as of now, it's just it's disparate.
Norwood used to have a team, and it would be like someone from the fire department, the building department, health department. And they would advertise, and they would all go out together. There used to be, so I don't know what it was called, I don't know if Tim would know what it was called, but they did work together on things like properties that were,
Was it in the 80s?
oh gosh. No,
That's his, kind of his program.
Probably.
But I think it got in trouble somehow.
It might have not, one of the biggest challenges we've encountered is the finances. We don't have the funding for a lot of those sorts of things. That doesn't mean that we won't moving forward. Things are looking much, much better. But I know that there were a lot of programs that we had.
I don't really need funding for that.
But they just
have
said,
well, but you have to pull them off of what they're doing to do this other task.
They didn't have no.
Well, and then we saw how it didn't end well.
So nuisance, as you guys were telling us, you were asking about nuisance, because we've come up plenty of times, because we've had lots of issues. If they're not, it's not considered nuisance if they're not arrested, is that how you were saying with us?
They have to be
Yeah.
charged.
They have to be
There has to be
charged,
like a
right?
citation issued, a
Right.
ticket issued.
Right.
There has to be some kind of action taken, so it doesn't have to be arrest, but there has to be some sort of, essentially think of it as like, if you're gonna fire an employee, you can't fire an employee if you've never given them a formal write-up before. There has to be a paper trail. It can't just be like 15 other employees saying, we really don't like that guy. There has to be like this date you were given this notice, this date you were given this notice, this date you were given this notice, and you didn't act on any of those, so now you're considered a chronic nuisance. Unfortunately, I think where we run into issues is whether or not action is taken is up to the person who is responding to the complaint.
Right.
And we don't have any kind of clear, like, there's no such thing as you receive X amount of complaints, now you have to take action. It's sort of up to the person who is responding to it. And I think all the people we have responding to these kinds of things know what they're doing, and I trust their judgment. But that can be frustrating from an outside perspective. If it looks like there is not change being made.
Right.
Any more questions? Sorry, no.
I would just, in terms of if there are any additional nuisances that you are experiencing, if you can put them on See-Click-Fix, call the police department. Again, that helps us to track information, and I know that that's,
And we do
It
that.
puts the burden on you. Yeah.
That's no burden to me.
All right.
well, it's appreciated, but it's also really, it's really vital, because the number of times I've had people complain about, it's not you, but even neighbors by me complaining about the loud college parties, but then they don't do anything about it. And so if you scream in the woods, no one hears you. If you don't put it on See-Click-Fix, it didn't happen. So if you can continue to do that, that is very important, and that data is tracked.
Well, it's cold, so as of right now, we haven't had any issues.
That's good.
So let's hope it's not just weather and, But I am concerned when that quick response team says that there are many that are popping up all over Norwood. So that means there's probably many we don't know right
Well,
now.
I would say also, if they're not in the process and we pass this, that wouldn't necessarily be a prior non-conforming use, in my eyes, Tim. Sorry, I'm getting real legal with it, but in my eyes, if they aren't in the process of starting it and we're at capacity, then we're at capacity.
Even though they're up and operating, and we don't know that.
They're not if they aren't pending certification, then I would argue they're not operating legally, even under the state code, and then they would fall into.
And I would also be curious where, if they are popping up everywhere, I would love information about that. Or is that just sort of a fear or a sense? Because if it is actually, then that's something additional that we could potentially pay attention to.
Quick response is the heroin unit, right? Because I don't think they would just say that.
There's gonna be some documentation.
Yeah, can we get that?
Fine.
I think we can get that.
I think you can.
I asked for it today, so.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be considered medical or not.
If we just ask for streets, I did ask for today for addresses, and I said, okay, disregard that. How about giving me streets? They sent me a little bit back, but not streets yet, so. Just to kind of help to know where they are. Because there might be something operating and people think, oh yeah, that, they hear about it. That's on my street too. I always wonder why all these people are coming and going. And our issue was, we had a lot of issue. There was no one recovering at our recovery. But that might not be the issue for all of these places.
Right.
But I still think that.
But if they're not seeking their certification, they're still operating.
And, right, we still need something in place
Yes.
to,
So the only people we have doing it
And
legitimately.
unsupervised.
Yes.
Places that are unsupervised. There's a
I could-
counselor or someone there overseeing this group 6-8 hours a day, and then they leave, and then these sober living people are on their own.
Right.
Unsupervised,
Right.
which is where the problem
I mean, it would be
falls.
worried for them and.
Yeah, it's scary for them and for everyone.
So, one more thing. So it's like operating a business in the residential neighborhood, and that's not, is that a whole other thing, or is that
For profit.
I think once we get language in our ordinance,
okay?
I think then we can, if they are operating within any of those qualifications, I think then like we could start.
Okay.
looking at those.
It would probably list it as a commercial property.
Right.
But
Just
then
like
the
one-
argument,
like
We have a lot of tools in our arsenal.
so the
right now
argument
it's
that
like
we
this.
could be made, because I talked to Mr. Moore about this as well, is that every landlord rental business, like every rental property is also a for-profit business. And if the theory is that folks who are living in recovery housing are paying for their room and board, so is everyone else who's renting property in Norwood. And so because they are paying for a residential service, an argument could be made that it should be zoned as a residential facility.
But rentals don't typically have someone on staff getting paid to take care of them.
But if they did, would that make them, if a landlord had an on-site property manager, would that make them a no longer, like if there's an apartment building that has a property manager that is in an office on-site and works on-site, would that no longer make them a residential property? I think there was too much concern there about like, the folks who are paying to live there are paying to live there. And so is everyone else who's in a rental property. So couldn't call this specific, this was to Izzy's house specifically, that would not be a very helpful argument in terms of getting them out of there. Because the argument could legally be made that they are operating in the same way that any rental residential property. Because they're
I think
not,
That's what the BZA ruled on Hopkins, is that just a regular rental.
yeah.
But we gotta really be realistic, these aren't regular rentals. And these are affecting people's neighborhoods.
I agree.
I want families to move in, I want, young people, we have a young couple on our street. They're like, why do we want to stay when we have problems all the time? Oh, one more thing. And with the Xavier now going to, they have to live 3 years on campus.
Yeah.
That's also frightening because now we have several Xavier houses around us, and what if these people, they,
No,
you
that
know,
was- yeah.
it might be harder for them to get, they do 2 years at a time leases with these kids. And they say it's a little bit harder, like my neighbor's talking about already selling. So I feel like we just need something in place because we could be getting these things everywhere.
No, I agree. Honestly, I saw that headline and was like, oh, we should.
Yeah.
Which, I know it seems slow, but we are.
No, I know.
getting on it. Sorry.
I'm just,
Yeah.
we're not dealing with what we were a month ago.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. All right. I appreciate everyone being here, talking about it. Like I said, we'll hopefully have that on the next council agenda. And then if everyone's prepared, I'm just going to move on to the crypto ATM legislation. We've been mulling over for what feels like 6 months now. But I'm glad we have more people on board with, I would like to get a proposed legislation banning the ATMs in front of council, especially after what we heard from our neighbor last time.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Scanlon. I sent everyone links to Stillwater, Minnesota's ordinance, which it's just super plain language that they are not allowed. The language is Stillwater City Council has determined an ordinance prohibiting virtual currency kiosks within the city is necessary and appropriate to prevent crime, protect personal property, and promote the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. Prohibition far outweighs any benefit they provide to the public. And then, literally the language banning is, it shall be unlawful for anyone to host, allow, operate, permit, locate, or place a virtual currency kiosk within the city. So that's some super plain language. Stillwater, Minnesota is a city of about 20,000 people. They only had 4 crypto ATMs in their city limits. I think we have somewhere between 8 and 11. I still have to talk with Chief Sumner because I gave them the signs and sent them out, but I think they hit all of them, but I have not double checked. And I have actually not even gone to every crypto ATM myself. I've gone to quite a handful, but I have not gone to every single one that's on Google Maps, which I should do to make sure our signs are out in the meantime. Time just sneaks up on you. But then Spokane, excuse me. I know that's a big deal there. Washington also passed one. I sent you guys the link to that. And then if you just go to the 1090-40, I think I like their language a little. I mean, it's basically the same. But they gave a 60-day effective date. That was really the only thing I'm hung up on. I mean, I'm fine with banning them, but I do want to make sure businesses have time to get rid of them, and we have the signs up in the meantime. Stillwater was like, get them out by Friday. I believe it's what they're like, you have until Friday to get rid of these, and I think it was like a Tuesday. So they gave a very small window. If we think 60 is too much, I'm fine with 30, but I think it's kind of a lot to be like, hey, unplug those.
Well, and I think if folks are receiving monthly
Right.
payments from those companies, then you're running into legal
Right.
leases. And
Right.
So I think 30 or 60 days is feasible.
And we're hitting the end of the year, so hopefully
Right.
it'll be a clean break for these
Would
businesses.
that be worth doing? Like having it be January 1st?
We could do that. I mean, I think that's a good middle ground too if
Yeah.
this gets through.
First of the year.
Yeah. Although I think to
That's
get
less
3
than-
readings, yeah, I think if we
Probably not.
maybe just time after the ordinance is effective. Because I think to get 3 readings, we'd be at the end of December if we get this on our next agenda. But I can ask the law department to do the same thing. And then actually, Tim left. I was going to ask our law department is if we get this passed, if our sign ordinance needs to be amended. But another thought I had was if it stays on the books and for some reason the legislature steps in and says you cannot ban these kiosks, we at least still have that a fallback.
I'd rather that stay in
yeah.
at least until that 60-day window or however long
I agree.
is open.
Yeah.
Is over.
That can be nice when
And
I'm
then
gone.
And then I think we can address, is there a need to remove that original
Yeah.
ordinance?
I would keep it until, we see where this is all going statewide. I think would be a good idea. But yeah, that hopefully, I don't think that'll be my problem this time. Okay. Did you guys have a preference? So do you think 60 days is reasonable? Okay.
I
I mean,
want to give the businesses enough time.
yeah.
And
I think
also
we have to like
before
weigh
they
both.
pick up if they need to actually
Yeah.
remove the physical ATM, if it's something as simple as changing the functions of it.
Mhm.
Great. And I think we would need to, I don't think we would need to, but I think it would be kind of us to give those businesses notice. Like
Yeah.
To send them a letter. and
I-
say,
yeah.
hey, we've changed the legislation, here's why, here's
I
how
know.
much time you have.
I was going to say, I think it'd be a good idea to get in touch with the chamber, but I don't know how many businesses with the chamber have these. Maybe a couple.
That's a good question.
I know.
I've got, I'll be at the chamber event tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you could ask, if you don't mind.
Will you be there tomorrow?
It is unlikely. We are building, work is investor work.
Okay.
We're
You're
building
very- Oh, yeah.
That sounds fun.
Been building furniture all day today.
Oof. Okay. Well, if everyone is okay with the language, I think we just keep the definition we already have. I mean, I think this is as simple as just tossing it in, and unlike our last one.
And
This one.
Spokane is like incredibly short and sweet, which I love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They
Yes.
say, here's the definition.
And we already have our definition,
Right.
so literally just need to throw in at the end. And actually, they're not allowed anymore, but with more legalese. Okay, if everyone's good, I don't know if this will pass, but I would at least like to get it in front of everybody, especially now that we have a face to the crime that is getting scanned by these machines. I think like once you put a face to what's happening,
The
it's
victim.
yeah. I think hopefully, because it's very easy to be like my relative in Dayton had it happen, but they're not a neighbor technically.
I'm very much on the fence about it.
hmm
I'm leaning towards voting yes to
Mhm.
to ban them, especially because of what I saw last. I watched the meeting last.
Oh yeah.
The one that I missed.
Yes.
But I think it's a big deal to ban things.
It is.
So I'm
Yes.
not taking it lightly.
Yeah.
But I do think the the harm that these do.
I think it
the
outweighs.
good. So I'm
Yes.
leaning towards.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason why it took me so long to be like, let's just put a ban in front of everybody, let's vote on it, because I was like, well, these businesses make money off of it, you know, not through the scamming, but through having the kiosk. And yeah, and like I said, I had a business reach out and they were like, we do make money off of these, and I, you know, prefer if you didn't ban them, but once someone says I've lost $10,000 and there's 11 of them in Norwood, and that what they lost basically outweighs what all those businesses made in a year from the kiosk. And that's just one person we heard from. I mean, I did actually ask Chief Sumner for some numbers. He has not gotten back to me yet, but he acknowledged that I asked. I did want to see like what the numbers looked like for who's been scammed by the kiosk specifically in
Just who's
Norwood.
been reporting their scams.
Right. That's not even including people who do not.
And I think a lot of folks
Reach out.
do not. I will say, and in terms of, because I am also wary to ban anything, I think in many situations a ban means we are totally removing the public's access to something. That is not the case in this situation. We are removing one route of access. There is no barrier to you going home and purchasing crypto on your computer, on your phone, at your friend's house.
Yeah.
It is so widely accessible and widely available that we are just removing one point of access.
That might stop a few people.
That may,
Yeah.
yes, that, and I know that this has been said before, but sophisticated investors are not using it at any rate. The fees on these things are egregious.
20 to 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The national average is 19% fee
Mhm.
versus purchasing it online is like a 3% fee for most places. So folks who are legitimately wanting to invest are already not doing it because it is fiscally unwise. But I agree. A ban is a powerful thing to do, and I am hesitant to do it in most situations, but especially in this case because we are not stopping anyone from that. This is not a hemp-derived THC ban. We are not removing people's access to something.
I would argue we are not doing government paternalism with this one. I think this is get your scams out of here more than people shouldn't buy crypto. Buy crypto if you want. I don't care. If you want to buy crypto, go nuts. That is not my business, and I will not make it my business. But people, unfortunately, our neighbors getting scammed, I will make my business. Unfortunate for the scammers. But I think if everyone's okay with this language, like I said, I just want to get it in front of council. And if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. But I'm at the point where I want to try to help with this. So, anything else from anyone? All right. I think that's it for us. Steve, I think we're all good. Thanks, everybody.